Today's Wednesday, August 20th, and you are listening to episode number 28 of the DogHouse podcast.
From DogHouseSystems.com, this is the DogHouse podcast.
All right, we'd like to welcome everybody back again. This is episode number 28, and this is going out a little bit early. Normally, we publish these on Fridays, but due to our schedule this week, this one will be going out a little early, so it's going out today, Wednesday. So hope everybody has been doing well. We're running a little bit late on this podcast. Last week, we weren't able to get one out, so didn't want to push this one off again, as we have quite a bit of stuff to cover, and looking forward to it. Starting with Bark Bits, we're going to start with a borderline somber mood, and as we go through all these stories, we will work up to some happy-go-lucky stories. So with that being said, let's go for it.
In a little bit of somber news about a card you may not ever install into your own PC, but is cool nonetheless, Adaptec has announced a new RAID controller that supports up to 32 NVMe PCIe 4 and 5 SSDs. And instead of being a traditional RAID card that connects all of the drives directly to it, it actually uses the PCI Express interface to connect to and direct traffic to, from, and between storage devices that are connected by any means. U.2, U.3, an NVMe, like what is probably in your gaming system at home, or even an MCO connector, Mini Cool Edge. That's a small, traditionally server connector for drives. It feels like we've come full circle from traditional RAID cards to software RAID like ZFS, BTRFS, and now all of that compute being offloaded from the CPU onto a dedicated card, but still running software RAID. It's pretty cool. Like I said, probably not a technology we're going to be using at home, but in the enterprise space, I imagine these are going to be pretty popular.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, when I originally read it, the speeds they're claiming, over 200 gigabytes per second on reads and writes, is pretty amazing. But then I thought, why not implement a software RAID, which is traditionally zero cost? Their claim to fame here with this is that it offloads all of that compute, which once you go above 8 or 10 or 12 devices, calculating the parity in real time while you're writing, especially for like high frequency database applications, that's a lot of compute needed on the CPU side in order to keep track of all those transactions, flush them to disk, and then queue up new transactions. I'd have to see how it worked in real time, but CPUs have gotten so large and powerful that it may be a non-issue at this point.
I think the biggest issue, and maybe a really good thing on the Adaptec side of things, is in the neighborhood of if you had to do a rebuild. Let's say if you did have a failure, I would imagine saving compute power by having that offloaded to that RAID controller, at least with a traditional hardware RAID controller, that would be the key. So I guess my question is, I wonder, will the CPU still have to work extra hard during a rebuild in this situation?
Probably not. They're claiming to offload all of the I/O data from the CPU to this card, which frees up the CPU resources for doing your actual compute workload. With as many CPU cores that we're seeing packed into high-end server platforms nowadays, how would this compare to a traditional fully software RAID? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's interesting nonetheless, and the speed they're getting by not having all of the data go directly through the card, it's not retrieving data and then sending it back, but directing data between devices, which is pretty interesting.
I'm trying to get my head around, if you take that many drives, first of all, what do you hook them up to? Because a motherboard typically only have 2, 3, 4 slots.
Yeah, that's the other part of this is you'd need another host bus adapter or PCI Express direct connections to your drives, or even another, they call them host bus adapters, which would look the same but have connectors on it that connects directly to the drive. But on each one of those steps, you're introducing bottlenecks at different points. A host bus adapter can only use up to 16 PCI Express lanes, so that is your maximum speed, whereas this is claiming speeds way above even a couple of PCI Express X16 lanes. So those are all you would think directly connected to the CPU through other connections.
Yeah, getting past the theoreticals, I think it'd be real interesting in real life. The concept does kind of excite me, because imagine if we did have, even let's say it's external NVMe, but the fact that it could be bootable is pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be awesome. A bootable NVMe RAID array would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be, currently with software RAID at least, you're somewhat limited by your CPU and also your memory bandwidth. DDR5 is fast, but it is not hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes a second fast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's another possible upside for this card. I don't know.
It'd be kind of fun to play with for sure. Not somber. I like that. That's a good story.
We lied. So last podcast, we talked about the Internet Archive and how it became a federal database. Very exciting for them. Reddit came out and announced that they are limiting access to the Internet Archive because they've found that AI companies have been using the Wayback Machine to scrape user data. The policy Reddit has in place doesn't block what they call good faith actors from non-commercial purposes. However, they made a statement saying that they were aware that there were AI companies who were violating this policy and scraping the data from the Wayback Machine that the Wayback Machine had from Reddit. So basically, Reddit has gone in and limited the access. So now you can only see just like their homepage. So the trending top posts on Reddit for a single day. You cannot go through and see posts from that day and go further into.
So I'm guessing things like going back to see deleted posts from specific users is probably high on the list of things they don't want people to be able to resurface.
Probably, yeah. So they want, deleting removed content, respecting user privacy. Basically, they're just making sure that AI companies don't have access to information they shouldn't have, which is really good for Reddit because it is one of the probably most popular websites that I know about.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of these LLMs, that's where they're getting a ton of that information.
If you can set up a chatbot to discuss a topic with people, get their input, and then use that to affirm or fix its responses, for free. I mean, I imagine there are a lot of bot AI LLM training bots on Reddit.
We have talked about that too, where they actually did a study about that.
Abby, I'm going to have your help a little bit on this one, but there is this thing called Tea on Her, which is an app. It's kind of going from our last podcast. So we had the other app, the Rival T app.
Yes.
Where we had that whole issue going on. So there's a male version that has also come out, but they weren't immune to these kind of problems either, right?
Nope. So the app was released, the article that we're referencing was released earlier this month. And so the app at the time of the article was only released for a week, I believe, maybe even a couple of days.
Wow.
Yeah, so it is like a brand new app. Basically, it is the men's version of the women's safety dating app that we talked about, where they had 2 breaches that basically dumped a bunch of information online. Pretty much did the same thing to this app. But it was apparently a lot easier for them to do, if I'm not mistaken. They had at least one security flaw that allowed anyone to access user data, including usernames, emails, photos, selfies, driver's license, which includes addresses.
It also was able to expose the number of users, which apparently it was at about 53,000, which that's still a lot of people in such a short amount of time.
They also identified a potential second issue in which an email and plain text password belonging to the creator was left exposed on the server. So those credentials
That's a great place to store your most secure information.
would allow you to have access to the admin panel.
Another public service announcement. Please don't store your stuff out in places like that.
Don't have a document that, to be clear, we don't know that they did this, but don't have a document or a text file called password or login or credentials.
It kind of reminds me of when we talked about the national public data breach, I believe like in one of our very early episodes, where it was a zip file with the username and password.
Yeah.
TechCrunch didn't use the credentials because they were like, it would be illegal, but please don't do this. I feel like these dating apps were created for, a good reason, but at the same time, please keep your security updated and don't.
Security and privacy are very important, especially in some case like this where you're giving out information that could personally identify you, like as the vehicle of using the service. Like, hey, I went on a date with so-and-so. If you know me or so-and-so, then you now know where they were, and general location as well.
I believe on both sides. I haven't been on T, and I, of course, would never go on T on her. But like, you're giving out all this information. So you're giving out, maybe where you went on the date, which puts you maybe in the general vicinity, having a stroke in the general area of the location. So I always am very cautious about what I share online.
Yeah, but the scariest part about all of this is but if you go on a date and the other person decides to put all that information out there, this stuff is, I don't know. It's a double-edged sword here.
Whatever you put on the internet stays on the internet forever.
And
no matter if you
delete it. Enough, whatever you don't put on, but because somebody else did is out there. So somber.
Yeah.
Definitely on the somber meter.
Sorry to hijack your article, John.
No, I appreciate it.
Well, in other internet-related news, AOL has decided to discontinue its dial-up service.
Should we insert tabs here?
Insert the dial-up connection sound.
R.I.P. AOL.
Welcome.
Yeah, according to U.S. Census data from 2022, approximately 175,000 American households still connect to the internet through dial-up services in 2022. I would imagine that, especially since then, Starlink has replaced a good chunk of those.
Yeah.
But I'm sure not everyone. I'd be interested to see how many of those were, or how that number was generated. Are they active users? Are they subscribers? I mean, especially a lot of, probably elderly individuals who had dial-up upgraded may still have that dial-up service attached to their landline service.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
shocked though. That seems like a really big number.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah. So if you're still on AOL or need an alternative, maybe look to I guess you could also move to something
like CompuServe.
I was going to say Starlink satellite based, or something using like 4G, 5G.
Yeah. Did you ever use AOL back in the day?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they used to have the trial discs at Blockbuster.
All over the place, yes.
Yeah. Oh, that sound is ingrained into my memory.
You've got mail.
Yeah, it was great.
For sure.
I know a couple of family members who still have AOL email addresses, and I've very much encouraged them to move everything off of that because I don't know who's paying for that.
Yeah. Good point.
And when access will just be revoked.
Yeah.
Would not be good.
No.
In security news, a WinRAR flaw allows malware to install at Windows startup. So the way this would work is the malware would use a bug in WinRAR to allow WinRAR to unzip it to system files, so System32 or another system directory, allowing it to run at startup or as the system itself instead of the the desired location that the user is having WinRAR unzipped to.
Okay.
Which would just let it run at startup. This has been patched, but you have to manually download the latest installer on Windows.
It's been a little while since I've used WinRAR, but
Yeah.
used to use it quite a bit.
Yeah, I've used either nothing or 7-zip for the longest time now. Yeah.
And other news,
Just bear with us. It does get better towards the end of the podcast.
it does. A lot of big words. Microsoft is getting sued for killing off Windows 10. In a lawsuit filed in California, a Windows 10 user believes that Microsoft is killing off Windows 10, despite the fact that 43% of users from StatCounter in July said that users still use Windows 10. But he believes that, and this is from the lawsuit, that Microsoft's decision to discontinue support for Windows 10 while most of its consumer base is still using it was part of the larger strategy to force customers to purchase new devices that are running on Windows 11 and the generative AI software they have put in it. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out in court. But the guy suing says that there is an estimated 240 million computers that will be unable to run the Windows 11 update, and basically feels like that's Microsoft's way of bullying people into buying new computers and getting into the era of AI.
Unrelated to Microsoft, I have a personal bone to pick with Adobe over I purchased last year before Premiere and Photoshop Elements pack with a perpetual license, and it allows me to run it on 2 devices at once. So this past weekend, I went to install it on my PC. I had reinstalled Windows on my PC when Elden Ring Night Rain came out. I was having some weird driver issues. I decided get rid of it, reload it. So it is installed on my laptop and my desktop. Tried to activate on my desktop. It says you've reached your activation limit. So I think, oh, well, there's only 2 active. So I reach out to Adobe support and they said, well, you have to sign in to the PC you want to deactivate it on because we can't reset it for you here through support. So I've paid for 2 licenses for perpetual licenses. So if I want to use it on 2 devices, I have to buy another license. So I thought, no. Out of curiosity, I went to go see what the upgraded 2025 is, and you can buy it. They've added a bunch of AI features, which take it or leave it. For my use case, not really a benefit. But it's no longer a perpetual license. It's a 3-year license, and at the end of those 3 years, it is no longer usable.
Oh, wow.
For the Elements version, so the options are don't use it, buy it for 3 years, or buy their subscription.
Could we get a little greedier?
Right? Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, they kept insisting that I sign into the old PC and
What
deactivate
happens
it.
if it
and I
would've-
explained,
yeah.
I said, this is the same PC, but I've reinstalled the operating system. I can't sign in to uninstall it. I'm signed in and trying to activate that same key because they give you separate keys. And ended up chatting with about 3 different agents, and all of them said, oh, you have to sign in, deactivate. And I'm like,
Can't.
yeah, I cannot. So yeah, probably won't be using those Adobe products anymore.
So they didn't give you even a one-time courtesy.
Not at all. They said they're unable to. And I might be able to, roll the dice and get a different agent that maybe can do it. But yeah, at this point, I'm time to start learning DaVinci Resolve. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I bet
would.
you none of the agents would.
Yeah.
They'd probably all tell you the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the 3 I spoke to or chatted with
Yeah.
did. Yeah. So I've got
I bet
3
you.
of them.
I bet you if you kept doing it, they'd give you the same answer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I actually downloaded DaVinci Resolve, the free version, try and see how that works. GIMP, less so inclined to try. I don't know. There's also Affinity Photo or Corel, I think, has a product as well. But yeah, and maybe Affinity. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, that's my rant over for the week.
Well, at least that keeps in the theme of somber. This next story that we're going to talk about is really, it's kind of neutral, but it's about GitHub. And it was interesting because I did not realize that Microsoft has owned GitHub since 2018. So it's been some time now. It looks like they're going to be, I guess, brought into the whole Microsoft suite, I guess, more or less the organization moving forward. So I guess the quote was, GitHub and its leadership team will continue its mission as part of Microsoft's core AI organization with more details shared soon. So that was actually stated by Domke, the president or the CEO. And he said, I'll be staying through the end of 2025 to help guide the transition and am leaving with a deep sense of pride in everything we built as a remote first organization spread around the world. So that'll be, it's more of an organizational type deal. Hopefully it doesn't have any negative stuff that goes with it. But yeah.
Well, Battlefield 6 open beta happened a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And it unveiled that a lot of people are not running Secure Boot on their PCs or can't. Simply cannot. And this goes back to our, the Windows 10 discussion we just had. You can install Windows 10 and you can install Windows 11 without enabling Secure Boot. But it may be more difficult than just flipping a switch in order to get it turned on after the fact. So if you install Windows 11 fresh without Secure Boot, more likely than not, you can boot into your BIOS and just enable that toggle. On a Windows 10 machine, especially if you've upgraded from 7 or 8 or 8.1, your disk may be formatted as an MBR, master boot record partition table, which if you don't know what that means, it doesn't really matter. It just means your system is incompatible with Secure Boot. There are tools to convert your disk, but then if that doesn't work and you lose your data, to play a video game may not be the best day. But the recommendation would be to, one, have a system that supports Secure Boot in hardware and reinstall your operating system. So a little bit of a headache for people as they were just trying to play the latest game.
Yeah, that's going to ultimately, if somebody still wants to play it bad enough, I guess it'll be pushing some folks to go back to the console as opposed to being able to do it on the
or
PC.
Upgrade your PC. Yeah, and that it's not a requirement of Windows that this be enabled for the game. It's the game's anti-cheat, which doesn't seem to have worked because lots of cheaters and hackers were still online even during the closed beta, which is pretty sad, but also very impressive that they were able to develop these tools during that week or weekend that the beta was available.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's like an arms race between,
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to do the beta?
Not,
I wanted to just to check it out, but I just didn't have time to do it. I heard some good things, though.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really good. Return to their roots, I think, is what the fan base has been saying. Yeah. Major Intel driver projects are going unsupported due to restructuring and layoffs at Intel. So maintainers for especially Intel's RDMA Ethernet driver, which is remote direct memory access, basically allowing network cards to handle the traffic themselves rather than relying on CPU. So that speeds up network transfers and reduces latency. Not something you generally use at home, but in the enterprise, definitely a big thing. And also their older M.2 based Wi-Fi adapters. So a lot of the only support for those devices in the Linux kernel now no longer a part of Intel. And I don't think those individuals, I wouldn't blame them for not doing it out of the kindness of their hearts to support that hardware. Yeah. Along with some other things like their time of day device on FPGA cards and a bunch of other smaller drivers, but those are the major ones. So hopefully the community or another company can pick up support for those devices, because otherwise, as drivers roll on, as things break, they're not going to be fixed. Yeah, and that's specifically on Linux.
Well, maybe with SoftBank throwing a $2 billion lifeline to Intel, maybe these guys could possibly still keep their jobs. I don't think it's going to happen, but that was kind of interesting. The fact that SoftBank is going to invest $2 billion into Intel. That's just mind-numbing that this would even be something we would be talking about today.
Yeah, Intel 5-10 10 years ago, industry giant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's just amazing how fast things can change in the landscape, and you'd think that you're untouchable, and it's just not the case. I mean, right now you'd have to think NVIDIA's got that mindset, but I think they're smart enough to know that, again, anything could change quickly. So I hope that money goes to good use. And I mean, it's kind of selfishly for us, we've been an Intel shop for years, and they make good stuff, but hopefully this will be something that can help for the long game for Intel.
Yeah, as much as we've used Intel in the past pretty much exclusively, and now we also have AMD offerings. Fanboyism aside, the market needs competition.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
and we used to think AMD was the competition to kind of help.
Yeah, and now, especially in the server space, AMD is very dominant.
Yeah.
And they need some competition to keep innovation going and to keep prices in check.
Yes.
Okay, so scientists have found a way to hide secret codes in light, of all things, to combat video fakes. So by encoding basically raw data in what looks like distortion or film grain or lots of different methods they can use, they can sort of keep, if you'd imagine, like a track of time in the video, so that if it's cut or warped or reversed, or they can look back at that distortion pattern or film grain pattern and see that the video has been tampered with. Very cool technology. Yeah, it's be interested to see what happens when this meets AI. Will AI incorporate that visually into what video should look like? Throwing off that, imperceptible to us, but to something looking at just a raw data stream, how does that interact with video generation and splicing things together?
There is a game on Steam called Peak, released by a indie studio, Aggro Crab, which is a co-op game where you're trying to basically climb mountains, is from my understanding. I could be wrong. Lorenzo's nodding his head yes.
It looks very fun and interesting.
I have thought about adding it to one of the podcasts. I feel like that'd be such a good co-op game to play. However, they recently found out that Roblox, the app that has been in hot waters very, very recently, launched a game called Cliff, that if you look at the tweet on, what do you call a post on X? Still a tweet to me. So the studio posted that they would rather have players pirate their game Peak rather than purchase what they call the microtransaction-ridden Roblox slop ripoff. And if you look at the photos that they posted along with that, Roblox is not even trying to hide the fact that they have copied this game. The images is just a photo of the characters, one of just an art from Peak, and then
down to the outfit.
Down to the outfit. It's one of the characters pathetic. Is what they're comparing in there. So basically, let's see. Peak is sold one-time fee, complete experience without microtransactions. Cliff, however, is free to play on Roblox, but is full of microtransactions and in-game purchases. Items such as tools, virtual companions are sold individually, and the cost kind of adds up to the upfront price you pay for Peak.
That's a big issue. I mean, we've seen it. We talked about in the last podcast another game that was kind of a similar deal, and it's like, what do you do as a developer to stop this kind of stuff from happening?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going against these huge corporations. They're probably like, hey, go ahead and take us to court.
Yeah, a small indie team or even a solo indie developer versus a corporation that can put an entire team or contract out a team to rebuild that game and then monetize it.
Yeah.
It's pretty disheartening, especially for anyone who might be developing a game now.
Yeah. So we're going somber still.
This is the last somber story.
Okay.
I promise.
So the first descendant has kind of come under fire really bad because people have found out that they've been using AI-generated influencers to promote their game. Basically...
So they're not real people.
Well, they also found out that there is a deepfake of at least one actual influencer that was used without knowledge or consent from the influencer.
Yeah, so non-existent influencers generated by AI and also faking support from an existing influencer using AI.
Yes.
And who thought that was a good idea?
The first descendant marketing team did. I actually watched one of the ads on the article, and almost immediately, if I would like to believe that if I had seen it naturally and organically on my TikTok feed, I probably would be able to tell. Mostly because the one that I watched, the guy doesn't blink and his eyes don't move.
Yeah, I was just watching that when I heard you talking about earlier.
His head moves, but like his eyes do not move, which I think is so creepy. But so people were like super interested. I guess people were like watching these ads and all that stuff. And then they started noticing that there were like several factors that kind of leaned towards AI generation. Artificial sounding voices, not having an authentic script about the game, and the way their mouths and their heads move. The article says that a lot of viewers did not pick up on this the first time they watch it. If you're just like casually scrolling, you wouldn't be able to catch it, but the longer you watch, the easier it becomes for these ads. There was a Reddit user who also complained that several of the ads, four ads for the first Descendants in 15 minutes. Streamer Daniel the Demon can be seen talking about playing the game. However, he has come out and said that he has never played the game or made an ad for the game. So that's where the deepfake comes in. So please be careful about what you're watching. A lot of people I've seen on TikTok are like, they see AI videos, they're like, yeah, I'm going to get scammed in 60 years.
Wow. Well, speaking of TikTok, there's a new app that is out. And apparently it's getting really popular on the App Store charts. And it looks really cool. Basically, you got this little bean that you have to take care of. It looks like he's got human characteristics to it. But it's kind of like a cartoony bean. And I guess the goal of this is you have to stay focused, which means you can't open TikTok or Instagram or whatever little phone games that you like to play. So if you do, you're going to make that bean really sad because it depends on you staying focused. That's pretty cool. I know there's a lot of various focused based apps to try to reduce screen time, and that one looks pretty cool. I might have to check that one out, and it is available on iOS and Android.
Yeah.
So.
This one's marketed as an ADHD friendly focus timer for you. So take care of your little bean. You can dress them up as a coffee or an edamame bean.
Yeah, and it likes to knit. So
perfect.
By you helping it can continue focusing on the knitting, And the only way you could do that is to refrain from opening those apps that will distract you from your work. So the idea is you're more productive and your bean is more productive with its knitting. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, seems pretty cool. In other happy news, the Video Game History Foundation has acquired a game magazine called Computer Entertainer, which ran from 1982 to 1990, and released all of it scanned, searchable, downloadable under Creative Commons. So if you want to take a trip down memory lane or even look up something that may have released between those years or review, it's freely available for you to download and search through. John, do you have one? No, we don't have any 386s laying around, right?
No. I think the oldest one that we have is a 486. It's that cartridge style based one. Yeah. But my first computer was a 386, or first Intel PC was a 386.
Okay. Nice.
Well, this next article is CT Scan peels back layer by layer Intel's iconic 386 CPUs, and you can actually see how everything is connected, which is pretty cool. It doesn't come across in the podcast, obviously, because we're describing it to you, but we'll link to a Tom's Hardware article where you can see how all the tracers were run. It looks like they're all done by hand.
That's amazing. Yeah. 132 gold pins.
That's impressive.
That's all.
Yeah. As opposed to the, was it 1851, I think, in a modern Intel CPU, modern desktop CPU. Yeah, it's just amazing to see how incredibly intricate and complex these things were. And they were done, from the looks of it, by hand, not with the machine. So
that's really impressive.
Yeah. Well, continuing our happy news trend that we're on now, this next story was pretty cool. I was checking it out a little bit earlier about this. Well, first of all, have you, either one of y'all, I'm going to guess you have heard of Natalie the Nerd. Mm-hmm. So she does some pretty awesome modding type stuff with Nintendo products. And this little Game Boy is downright amazing, because normally when you think about the circuit board, I always think green. Yeah. You know, you can't see through it, but she's done this to where it's clear. And it and the article even talks about it. It's like artwork, and it really is. And again, we're talking about something that our listeners aren't seeing, so we'll include the link to the show in our show notes, and maybe we could take one of these photos and use it as part of our piece for the title to the show notes. This is really cool.
Yeah, so she created a fully transparent circuit board with power planes, pins, connectors between circuits and ICs, all fully visible, and then to top it all off, put it in a transparent shell.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying there. That just and just the work is just so really nice and clean. So that's pretty awesome.
It's a very pretty Game Boy.
It's pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah, looks a lot cooler than my first Game Boy. Just the generic blue Game Boy Color.
That's what I had. Yeah. I had the flip one.
I had the original. The original Game Boy.
Yeah, with the green screen. I forget what the technology is called on that, but yeah. Okay.
That was probably around 1991, I think, or shoot, it might have been 1990, but it was so cool.
I was not even born then.
That one came bundled with.
Sorry, John.
I was in college.
Oh my God, makes it worse.
That was before my time as well. Actually, Tetris, right? It would have been bundled with Tetris.
I had Tetris. Yep.
Oh, Tetris was such a fun game.
Yep. Played a bunch of Tetris on it. It was I can't remember the whole thing behind it, but I had a cordless phone, which was back then kind of crazy to have because we could use them, hook them up in the dorm. Mm-hmm. But one of the guys in the dorm really wanted that, and he had the Nintendo with probably about 6 different games. And he's like, "Would you like to trade?" And I said, "Yeah." For sure.
Why not?
Had that for a good number of years.
All right. Last but not least, GamesCon started up today, if I'm not mistaken. I could be so. Are you okay?
I'm good. Yeah, I had one hiccup. We're good.
And they have announced some big names Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Black Myth Wukong's getting a sequel.
Nice.
Yeah. They released a teaser for it. The project's still in early development, so there is no in-game footage to show you. But it will star a ghost-catching god wandering between hell and earth. So if you liked the first one, you may like the second one. They released the first trailer for Fallout Season 2 that follows New Vegas's storyline, introducing Mr. House. Oh, a trailer for World of Warcraft Midnight came out, the official cinematic trailer. So if you are very excited for the new expansion, that one feels like a good one to check out.
Got a notification about that. Looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah. Cult of the Lamb's getting an expansion next year.
Looks like Monster Hunter Wilds is doing a Final Fantasy 14 crossover, and Final Fantasy 14 is getting a few items from Monster Hunter, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. If you play the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, they have an expansion called The Order of the Giants that'll be coming out.
Silent Hill F. That was a PS1 title. That one's been around for a while. You would love that game, Abby.
Sounds like I would not.
I think it would scare you to death.
Pac-Man will become the first character to star in both a Mario Kart and a Sonic racing game. So Pac-Man will cross over with Sonic the Racing, and I believe Sonic will cross over with Pac-Man as well. But Pac-Man's also in Mario Kart Arcade GP spinoff.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. A lot of good stuff.
On a very happy note, yes.
On a very happy note, yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and hop over to our next segment, which is actually going to be our final segment because we don't have anything for Pack Talk this week. So we'll just go ahead and kind of wrap things up with segment number 2, which is Tech Treats.
So our first game is Ooh.
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 It's got the fancy with the 2 dots. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Ooh.
Ooh.
We'll say ooh. Ooh is a bomb caterpillar's big adventure is a charming yet mysterious exploration puzzle platformer where you discover creative ways to use bombs. And it is not as scary or dark as it sounds. It's actually a pretty cute looking game, and the major gimmick here is that you're given one ability, which is to place a bomb and place 2 bombs at once. And you have to use the explosions of the propulsion from those in different orientations to get around the map, which is actually pretty interesting.
Good physics lesson there.
Yeah, definitely. It is $7 on Steam, so definitely worth a look.
For sure.
Yeah. I don't know why I picked this one. If there's one thing y'all should know about me, I don't do the ocean. Okay? I don't.
But you did.
But I did. I picked an ocean game. Subnautica. So descend into the depths of an alien underwater world filled with wonder and peril. Craft equipment, pilot submarines, and outsmart wildlife to explore lush coral reefs, volcanoes, cave systems, and more, all while trying to survive. It is currently on sale as of this recording for 75% off. It is usually $29.99 on Steam, but right now it is $7.49. And you can play it on Windows, Mac, and is VR supported.
VR might be kind of a cool for this game. I think it'd actually be pretty awesome.
I think I'd cry. Oh. Then we got some Epic Games of the Week. So these are available until August 21st at 10 a.m., whatever time.
So you have one day to, or actually, I guess technically 2 days from the time of listening to this. So jump on these fast.
Yeah, 10 a.m., whatever time zone you're in. I believe it's just 10 a.m. that time. So the first one is Hidden Folk. Search for hidden folks in a hand-drawn interactive miniature landscapes. Unfurl tent flaps, cut through bushes, slam doors, and poke some crocodiles. There also was a roar at the end of this description, but I wasn't going to do that because
Bummer.
I don't need to be roaring on the podcast. And then the other one is Totally Reliable Delivery Service Standard Edition. Delivery attempted. Totally Reliable Delivery Service is a ragdoll physics simulation about terrible package delivery couriers. Work together using odd machinery, useful gadgets, and the wonders of physics to reliably deliver packages to their destination.
Interesting. I was just thinking about Robert as you're reading this, and
I saw that game and I was like, this one kind of reminds me of Death Stranding.
yeah, maybe a lighter version of it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're free, so I might as well try it out.
A floppier version.
Yes. Abby, would you let our listeners know the various ways that y'all can get a hold of us? And please get a hold of us if you would like to have anything answered on Pack Talk.
Yeah, so you can email us, podcast@doghousesystems.com. You can leave us a voicemail at 972-810-4347, or you can DM us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, X, and Threads at Doghouse Systems.
Appreciate y'all listening to us this week. We'll be back in a couple more weeks with episode number 29. Until then, all of y'all take care.
Toodaloo.